If you missed part 1 or 2 of my Trailblazer series, you can find the entire playlist at the top of the description. Thank you so much to today's incredible, amazing Patreon sponsors, Brigadis, Nick Caged, SNS, and our new patron, Kingenhofer. Hello everyone, my name is AndrewAJT, and welcome to episode 3 of my Trailblazer series. This will probably be quite a short video because I didn't get a chance to play too much this week, and last week we focused on the Mario 64, but I did want to show my mini journey here to afford a Dragon Scimitar from scratch, which was enjoyable to do and involved many different skills. A lot of people recently have wanted to know my opinion about Trailblazer, and I do want to share some thoughts today, especially now that they released this big blog, Trailblazer, an Inside Look, which I'll link down below. I recommend you read it. It has tons of insight on how they made Trailblazer and why they made certain decisions and evaluating how those choices worked out. I do actually want to discuss a criticism I have of Trailblazer, although I will repeat here that I do think Trailblazer is extremely well designed. It's a very exciting game mode and they did a very good job with it, and all of the effort that they put in really paid off. But one constructive criticism I have is it doesn't actually feel like an area restricted game mode, even though that's what it's designed for. Even from the very start, you do have access to the entirety of Misalin and also Karamja. With those two areas to start, it really feels like you still have a big landscape to explore, and you have a lot of options as to how to accomplish your goals and what quests to do and all that. Whereas if you look at some of the series that I would say Trailblazer is at the very least inspired by, the area restricted series like Swampletics, in those series, they are very restricted as to what they can do, and they have to find very extreme or unorthodox ways of accomplishing goals, and you don't often get that in Trailblazer just because you do have so many options because the areas themselves are so big. In hindsight, I think they should have made the areas a little bit smaller and divided up more. Now, to be fair, my thoughts on this could change because I feel like the area restriction aspect is actually more relevant, or it's going to become more relevant as I get farther into Trailblazer, because you can't unlock every single area, and you also can never go to Zaya, which might be more of a factor in the later stages of the game. I do still think, though, that the Kandarin area is quite overpowered, and this is reflected in the stats they showed, where it was by far the most popular choice as your first choice area to unlock. I actually like that they acknowledged that maybe it should have been split up into two areas. Looking back, I think the Twisted League was slightly better about this because from the start you were stuck on Zaya and the area restriction aspect was stronger, although the Trailblazer League is much better overall. I like that they kind of acknowledge here that the Fairy Flight and Eternal Jeweler relics are a bit underpowered. In the post they say they don't allow you to do anything you couldn't do without relics, so it's good that they're acknowledging that. They say that those two relics are kind of like quality of life relics, compared to Last Recall, which is more game-changing. They address the question of people wanting to change their relic choice or even restart the league entirely, and they mostly say no because of practical reasons. I actually really like that you have to stick with your choice because I feel like it makes your account and your progression through the league a lot more unique because you're not operating under the same power-ups as everyone else necessarily. I mean, of course people pick the same ones, but having to choose your own combination of areas and relics really makes the planning for your account a lot more fun. One thing that I thought was very interesting from the blog was they mentioned a scrapped second inventory relic where you could have kind of like a looting bag type item to store more things in. This is fascinating because it's always been the same way in RuneScape where you have 28 items to store in your inventory at any given time. You can't get more space, you can't get less, and there are some items like the looting bag or coal bag, but those have so many restrictions that you can't really consider them to be a second inventory. I guess we did see something like this with summoning in the past, but even that was limited. You wouldn't want to store valuable items in your summoning familiar. They said the reason this had to be scrapped is there's so many places in the game where the game will check for something in your inventory, and they would have had to recode this feature for every instance of the item being in your inventory. And there would have been so many instances of this that it would have been impractical to fix them all For example, bringing bananas into the mage training arena. It seems like this is a common problem they experience when working with such old code. I don't know if this was actually confirmed anywhere, but I remember hearing that when they made the Mauritania legs into a second Ghost Speak amulet, that they had to rework every single ghost in the game for the amulet to work. They couldn't just make it a second Ghost Speak amulet and it would have been super easy. They had to manually make it compatible with every ghost, which sounds really time consuming. Again, maybe I'm misremembering, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I'm wondering if there's anything they could do to update the code to make implementing new updates much easier for things like that, while making the experience the same for the player. Here's our Dragon Scimitar, which is a huge upgrade. This should make anything combat related much easier for me now. I'm curious, what would you guys change about Trailblazer, or what would you add or remove or alter or keep? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure many of you have really good ideas. Be sure to check out the Jagex blog as well. There's a lot of cool stuff in it, and I didn't get to cover all of it here. That'll do it for this week. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also join my clan chat in-game up on screen, AndrewAJT62, and our Discord server down below. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram down below, and if you would like to support the channel even further, you can check out my Patreon page in the end screen. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on Tuesday.